Welcome. Take a deep, slow breath and allow yourself to settle into the soft space you've created for rest. As the world outside begins to dim and the noise of the day fades into a distant hum, you are entering a space of quiet reflection. It is a common misconception that when we close our eyes and drift off, we are simply turning off, like a lamp being extinguished or a computer being shut down. But science tells us a much more beautiful story. Sleep is not an off switch. It is the beginning of the brain's essential night shift. Think of your mind not as a machine that stops, but as a complex laboratory that changes its focus. While your muscles relax and your heart rate slows, a specialized crew of neurological processes begins to wake up. They have work to do that can only be performed in the stillness of the dark. They are there to clean, to sort, to repair, and to prepare you for the light of tomorrow. It is staggering to realize that if you live to be 90 years old, you will have spent roughly 30 of those years in this state of slumber. 1/3 of our entire lives is dedicated to the night. To some, that might seem like a long time to be unproductive, but in the realm of biology, every minute of that 1/3 is a vital investment. In fact, there are specific stages of the night where your brain is actually more electrically active than it is while you are sitting at a desk or having a conversation. The energy isn't gone. It has simply been redirected inward. As we begin this journey through the science of your rest, I invite you to gently subscribe and join our community. It is a quiet way to ensure that your nights remain a time of peaceful learning and deep restoration. By staying with us, you are choosing to honor the rhythm of your body and the incredible work it does while you dream. Now, as you feel the weight of your body pressing softly into the mattress, let your thoughts drift away from the external world. Forget the deadlines, the to-do lists, and the glowing screens. We are moving away from the environment around you and turning our attention to the intricate world within. Your body carries its own map of time, a biological masterpiece that functions with more precision than the most expensive watch. It is an ancient system, evolved over millions of years, designed to keep you in harmony with the rising and setting of the sun. Deep within the architecture of your brain, a tiny master clock is already beginning to signal that the day is done. Deep within the silence of your mind, there is a small, specialized region that orchestrates the entire rhythm of your life. This is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, often referred to by scientists simply as the SCN. Though its name may sound complex, its purpose is beautifully simple. It is your body's master clock. Imagine a tiny cluster of about 20,000 neurons tucked away in a part of the brain called the hypothalamus. To put that in perspective, while your brain contains nearly 86 billion neurons, this tiny group of 20,000 holds the power to dictate when you feel vibrant and awake, and when you feel the gentle pull of slumber. The location of the SCN is no coincidence. It sits directly above the optic chiasm, the point where the optic nerves from your eyes cross paths. This strategic positioning allows the SCN to receive a direct, high-speed feed of the light levels in your environment. Even through your closed eyelids, your brain is subtly aware of the light around you. It is particularly sensitive to the fading of blue light. In the natural world, blue light is the signature of the high midday sun. As the sun dips lower and the atmosphere filters the light into the warmer, redder tones of evening, your SCN senses the shift. It interprets this fading of blue light as a biological command. The day is ending, and the time for restoration is near. But the SCN is more than just a light sensor. It is the conductor of a vast internal orchestra. While it resides deep in the center of your head, it sends out constant chemical and electrical signals that coordinate the peripheral clocks located in almost every organ of your body. Your heart, your liver, your lungs, and even your skin cells have their own internal timers. Without the SCN to lead them, these systems might drift out of sync, like musicians playing at different tempos. The master clock ensures that your entire being is working in harmony, slowing down your digestion, calming your heart rate, and preparing your temperature to drop as you transition into the night. As we contemplate this incredible internal harmony, take a slow, deep breath. Feel the cool air enter your nostrils, fill your chest, and then leave your body just as gently. As you exhale, allow the weight of your shoulders to relax completely. Let them sink an inch deeper into the soft surface beneath you. Feel the tension in your neck and jaw simply dissolve. You're safe. You're still. And your master clock is doing exactly what it was designed to do, guiding you toward the peace of the night. It is fascinating to realize that this clock functions on a cycle slightly longer than 24 hours, yet it is reset every single day by the arrival of morning light. It is a bridge between the celestial movements of our planet and the microscopic chemistry of our cells. However, while the SCN tells us when it is time to sleep based on the sun, it is not the only system governing your rest. There is another force at play, a quiet, invisible weight that has been accumulating within your brain since the very moment you opened your eyes this morning. It is a biological pressure, a chemical countdown that tracks exactly how long you have been awake. This invisible weight is known to scientists as sleep pressure. At its heart is a remarkable molecule called adenosine. While your internal clock, the SCN, manages the timing of your day based on the sun, adenosine serves as a biological ledger, keeping a precise record of every moment you have been awake. It is a fundamental part of your biology, a quiet companion that grows stronger with every breath you take and every thought you process. To understand adenosine, we must look at how your body creates energy. Every cell in your brain and body runs on a fuel called adenosine triphosphate, or 8P. As you move through your day, whether you're working, talking, or simply reflecting, your cells are constantly burning this 8P to keep you functioning. As this fuel is consumed, it leaves behind a byproduct, a single molecule of adenosine. You can think of it as the gentle, harmless exhaust from a perfectly running engine. From the very moment you wake up in the morning, your brain begins to collect this molecular exhaust. In the early hours of the day, the levels of adenosine are very low, and you feel alert and refreshed. But as the morning turns to afternoon, and the afternoon fades into evening, the concentration of adenosine in your brain steadily rises. It begins to circulate through your system, looking for specific docking stations called receptors. When adenosine molecules find these receptors, they click into place like a key into a lock. Once docked, they send a very specific signal to your nervous system, a signal to slow down. It is a beautiful, self-regulating system. The more energy you spend during the day, the more adenosine you create, and the more pressure your brain feels to rest and recover. This is why a day of intense physical or mental activity often leads to a deeper, more immediate sense of tiredness. Your body is physically signaling that its energy stores need to be replenished. Many of us try to negotiate with this system using caffeine. It's a fascinating chemical interaction. Caffeine is a master of disguise. Its molecular shape is so similar to adenosine that it can fit into those same docking stations in your brain. When you drink a cup of coffee or tea, the caffeine molecules rush in and occupy the receptors, effectively blocking the adenosine from sitting down. It doesn't actually give you more energy. It simply prevents your brain from receiving the signal that it is tired. It's like putting a piece of tape over the low fuel light on a dashboard. The fuel is still low, and the adenosine is still building up outside the docking station, waiting for its turn. This is why, when the caffeine eventually wears off, you may experience a crash. All that built-up adenosine floods the receptors at once, and the weight of your wakefulness hits you with renewed force. There is no way to truly bypass this biological requirement. No matter how much we might try to delay it, the only way to clear the pressure of adenosine is through the restorative power of sleep. As you lie here now, drifting closer to rest, your brain is preparing to perform a magnificent cleaning process. While you sleep, the bonds between the adenosine and its receptors are broken, and the molecule is systematically cleared away, resetting your internal ledger to zero. But while this chemical pressure tells your brain that it is ready for rest, it works in tandem with another signal, a messenger of the night that responds not to how long you have been awake, but to the shifting shadows of the world around you. As the adenosine reaches its peak, a small pine cone-shaped gland deep in your brain begins to release a hormone that has been called the vampire of the molecules, waiting for the light to fail before it makes its appearance. This messenger is melatonin, often called the vampire hormone, because it only emerges when the world goes dark. Deep in the center of your brain, nestled between the two hemispheres, sits the pineal gland. It is small, shaped like a tiny pine cone, but its influence over your rest is profound. For most of the day, while you are bathed in the light of the sun or the brightness of your home, this gland remains quiet, holding its cargo in reserve. But as the sun dips below the horizon and the colors of the sky fade into deep indigos and blacks, your pineal gland receives a specific signal from your internal master clock. It begins to secrete melatonin into your bloodstream, letting every cell in your body know that the environment has changed. It is a common misconception that melatonin is a powerful sedative that forces you into unconsciousness. In reality, scientists often describe it as a starter pistol for a race. In a track event, The sound of the pistol doesn't actually move the runner's legs. It simply signals to the athletes that the race has officially begun. Melatonin works in much the same way. It doesn't knock you out, but it signals to all your internal systems, your heart, your lungs, your metabolism, and your temperature regulation, that it is time to begin the transition into the night. It is the official announcement that the day shift is over and the night shift must now take over. As the hours of evening progress, the concentration of melatonin in your system continues to rise gradually. It flows through your veins like a slow, rhythmic tide, reaching its peak in the quietest, darkest hours of the night, usually around 2 or 3 in the morning. This peak ensures that your sleep remains stable and deep during the time when the world is at its coldest and stillest. However, in our modern world, this ancient and delicate system can sometimes be confused. You see, the master clock we spoke of earlier, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, is incredibly sensitive to a specific frequency of light, blue light. In the natural world, blue light is the signal of high noon, of a bright, clear sky. When we look at the glowing screens of our phones, tablets, or laptops late at night, that cool blue-tinted light hits our retinas and sends a confusing message to the brain. It tricks the SCN into thinking that the sun is still high in the sky, even if it is midnight. In response, the SCN tells the pineal gland to wait, to hold back the melatonin, because it believes the day hasn't ended yet. This is why you might feel a strange sense of tired but wired alertness after scrolling through a device. Your internal vampire is hiding from a light it perceives as the sun. But now, as you lie here in the soft dimness, that artificial light is gone. Your pineal gland is finally free to do its work, releasing that gentle tide of melatonin to wash over your system. Your body understands that the day is truly over. The vampire hormone is performing its quiet ritual, signaling to every organ that it is safe to downshift, to let go, and to enter the sanctuary of rest. With the chemical pressure of adenosine building and the signal of melatonin flowing, your eyelids begin to feel heavy as if weighted by a soft, invisible silk. You find yourself closing them, retreating from the visual world and turning your attention inward. As the darkness behind your eyelids becomes your only reality, you are standing on the threshold of the first stage of sleep. You are drifting away from the shores of wakefulness. But before you can fully cross over into the deep waters of the night, one final guardian must decide what of the outside world is allowed to follow you in. As your eyes remain closed and the darkness becomes a soft, velvety blanket, your brain begins to hand over the keys to a very important guardian. Deep within the center of your mind, nestled just above the brain stem, sits a small, twin-lobed structure called the thalamus. In the world of sleep science, we often refer to the thalamus as the brain's gatekeeper. Think of the thalamus as a highly sophisticated air traffic control tower or a grand switchboard. Throughout the day, while you are awake and moving through the world, the thalamus is incredibly busy. Almost every bit of sensory information, the sight of the trees, the feeling of your clothes against your skin, the sound of a distant conversation, must pass through the thalamus before it can reach the cerebral cortex, which is the part of your brain that processes and makes sense of the world. The thalamus decides what is important enough to merit your conscious attention and what can be safely ignored. But as you begin to drift, as the melatonin we spoke of earlier begins to exert its quiet influence, the thalamus undergoes a remarkable transformation. It begins to change its frequency. Instead of being a wide open gateway that lets every signal through, it starts to act like a gentle filter. It begins to dampen the external world, slowly turning down the volume on the environment around you. This is a vital part of your survival and your rest. If the thalamus remained wide open all night, the slightest sound, the house settling, a distant siren, or the wind against the window, would immediately alert your conscious mind and snap you back into wakefulness. But the gatekeeper is wise. It begins to block these sensory inputs from reaching the higher levels of the brain. It creates a barrier of silence, allowing your mind to finally turn its gaze inward, away from the demands of the physical world. This explains why many of us find comfort in the steady hum of a fan or the rhythmic patter of white noise. These sounds are consistent and predictable. Because they don't change, the thalamus quickly recognizes them as safe and unimportant. By providing a constant low-level signal, these sounds help the thalamus keep the gate closed against more sudden jarring noises that might otherwise break through. The fan becomes a sort of sonic shutter, helping to keep the interior of your mind dark and quiet. Take a moment now to notice the sounds in your own environment. Perhaps there is a clock ticking, or the distant hum of the refrigerator, or simply the sound of your own breath. As you listen, realize that your thalamus is already starting its work. It is beginning to categorize these sounds, filing them away as background noise, and slowly pulling the curtain across your senses. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the cool air enter your nose and the warm air leave your lips. With every exhale, feel the weight of your body sinking a little deeper into the mattress. Your shoulders are relaxing, your jaw is unclenched. The gatekeeper is at its post, ensuring that you are protected and that the outside world stays where it belongs, outside. The door is nearly shut now. The lights of the external world are fading into a soft, gray mist. You are no longer fully present in the room where you lie. You are beginning to cross the threshold. You are entering the transition zone, that delicate, misty bridge between being awake and being asleep. This is stage one, the very beginning of the journey, where the rules of logic begin to soften and the rhythm of your mind starts to change. You have now stepped onto the bridge. This is stage one NREM, often called the drifting phase. It is the shallowest part of sleep, a delicate twilight where the boundary between the real world and the dream world begins to blur. In this state, you are neither fully here nor fully gone. If someone were to whisper your name right now, you might still answer, perhaps even insisting that you weren't asleep at all, even though your mind has already started its journey inward. This stage is remarkably brief, usually lasting only between 1 and 7 minutes. It is a fleeting window, a necessary passage that the brain must navigate before it can sink into the deeper waters of rest. During these few minutes, your brain waves are undergoing a profound shift. The rhythmic alpha waves of relaxed wakefulness, those calm, steady pulses that occur when you close your eyes and rest, begin to slow down even further. They are gradually replaced by theta waves. These are slower, higher in amplitude, and they signal that the brain is successfully detaching from its immediate surroundings. As these theta waves take over, your thoughts begin to lose their usual rigid structure. When we are awake, our thoughts are generally linear. One idea leads logically to the next in a predictable chain. But in stage 1, that logic starts to fray at the edges. You might find yourself thinking about a conversation from earlier in the day, only for it to suddenly morph into a memory of a childhood garden or a fragment of a song you haven't heard in years. These are not yet full dreams, but rather micro dreams, brief flickering images and ideas that float through your mind like autumn leaves on a slow-moving stream. You're no longer the director of your thoughts. You have become a gentle observer, watching the internal landscape shift and change. It is a beautiful, strange sensation. You may feel a sense of weightlessness, as if the bed beneath you has dissolved and you are simply floating in a warm, dark space. Alternatively, some people experience a gentle sensation of sinking or falling, as if they are being pulled down into a soft velvet embrace. This happens because your muscles are beginning to lose their tension. The signals from the brain to the body are slowing down, and the physical self is finally surrendering its grip on the world. Your breathing becomes more rhythmic, and your heart rate continues its steady, slow descent. Because this stage is so light, you remain very sensitive to your environment. A floorboard creaking or a sudden change in light can still pull you back to full alertness quite easily. This is why a quiet, dark room is so important for this initial transition. But if the environment remains peaceful and your mind stays calm, the theta waves will continue to deepen, pulling you further away from the shore of wakefulness. As your body reaches this point of total relaxation, something curious often happens. Just as you feel yourself truly letting go, your body might suddenly startle you. You might experience a sharp, involuntary twitch, a sudden jolt that feels like a momentary electric spark through your limbs, sometimes accompanied by a fleeting sensation of tripping or falling. This is not a sign of alarm, but a fascinating quirk of our biology as we transition deeper into the night. A physical echo of the brain's attempt to settle into its new frequency. This sudden jolt you might feel, that quick, involuntary twitch that seems to ripple through your limbs just as you're about to drift off, is known scientifically as a hypnic jerk. It is one of the most common and yet most mysterious physical experiences we have while falling asleep. If you have ever felt the sensation of a missed step on a staircase or a sudden momentary feeling of falling while lying perfectly still in your bed, you have experienced this curious phenomenon. You are certainly not alone in this. Research suggests that up to 70% of people experience these jerks regularly. While they can be a bit surprising, they are a perfectly natural part of the transition into the deeper stages of rest. Evolutionary biologists have a fascinating theory about why our bodies do this. They suggest it might be an ancient remnant of our ancestors who slept in the safety of trees to stay away from predators on the ground. As their muscles relax too quickly during the onset of sleep, the brain might have misinterpreted the sensation of muscle limpness as the body falling out of the branches. In a split-second survival instinct, the brain would send a quick burst of motor activity to the limbs to catch the body and wake it up before it hit the ground. Today, even though we sleep safely in sturdy beds, that ancient circuit in our brain sometimes still fires, checking to make sure we are secure before we lose consciousness. Along with these physical twitches, you might also notice brief, vivid flashes of imagery or even soft sounds that aren't actually there. These are known as hypnagogic hallucinations. The word hypnagogic comes from the Greek words for sleep and leading, representing the bridge that leads us from the waking world into the dream world. These are not like the structured long-form dreams you have later in the night. Instead, they are more like a series of disjointed slides in a projector. You might see intricate geometric patterns, or perhaps a brief, clear image of a face or a landscape. You might hear a faint snatch of music, or even your own name being called softly in a familiar voice. This happens because your brain is in a unique state of tug-of-war. The part of your brain responsible for keeping you alert, the reticular activating system, is slowly handing over control to the part that promotes sleep. During this handoff, the sensory parts of your brain can become a bit disorganized. It is as if the logic centers of your mind have already gone to bed, leaving the imagination centers to play with the remaining fragments of the day's information. It is the brain's first real step into dreamlike logic, where the rules of reality begin to soften and fade. Take a slow, deep breath and let any lingering tension from those tiny jolts melt away. Understand that these twitches and flickering images are simply scenes that your nervous system is successfully powering down. Think of it as a gentle calibration, like a pilot checking the instruments before a long flight. Your body is making sure everything is in order before it enters the profound quiet of the next stage. As these final twitches subside and the flickering images of hypnagogia fade into a steady dark count, you're leaving the shallow waters of stage one behind. The brain begins to settle into a much more stable rhythmic pattern, pulling you further away from the shore of the conscious world. You are now crossing the threshold into stage two sleep, where the real work of the night, the true onset of deep rest, is about to begin. As the light, drifting sensations of stage one fade away, you find yourself entering stage two in REM sleep. This is often described by scientists as the onset of true sleep. While stage one was a bridge, a fleeting transition between two worlds, stage two is the first room of the house where you truly intend to stay. If someone were to whisper your name now, you might not answer as easily as you would have just a few minutes ago. You are moving deeper into the quiet, and the door to the waking world is beginning to latch shut. In this stage, your body begins a series of very specific physical changes designed to protect and sustain your rest. Your heart rate, which may have been fluctuating throughout the day's activities, begins to slow down into a steady, rhythmic pace. Your breathing becomes shallower and more regular, matching the calm, predictable beat of your heart. It is as if your entire physical being is finally exhaling a long, slow breath that it has been holding since the morning. You're no longer preparing for action. You are settling into a state of pure existence. One of the most remarkable things about stage 2 is just how much of our lives we spend here. While we often focus on the vivid dreams of RRM or the deep physical restoration of stage 3, stage 2 is actually the anchor of our night. On average, a healthy adult spends about 50% of their total sleep time in this stage. It acts as the baseline, the steady foundation upon which the more complex architecture of the night is built. Each time you cycle through the stages of sleep, you return to this familiar, stable ground. As you settle into this phase, your core body temperature begins to drop. This is a vital signal to your internal systems. This slight cooling, just a degree or two, is like the turning down of a thermostat in an empty building, conserving energy and shifting the body's focus from outward movement to inward maintenance. It's the reason why, even on a warm evening, the weight of a light blanket feels so comforting and necessary. Your body is looking for that external cocoon as its internal fire dims. This cooling process is one of the most essential triggers for maintaining a deep, uninterrupted slumber. Behind your closed eyelids, your eyes now come to a complete and peaceful standstill. The slow, rolling movements of the earlier drifting phase have ceased. You are no longer looking at the world, even in a passive way. This physical stillness is mirrored by a profound mental quiet. The brain begins to disconnect from the environment, pulling its sensory feelers back into itself. The hum of a distant refrigerator, the ticking of a clock, or the rustle of leaves outside begins to lose its meaning, becoming nothing more than a faint, indistinguishable background texture that the brain no longer feels the need to investigate. You are now in a state of profound tranquility, a deep hush that blankets your consciousness. However, even in this quietude, your brain is not simply off. If we were to look at the electrical patterns of your mind right now on an EEG, we would see something fascinating and unique to this stage. Amidst the steady, slow waves of stage 2, there are sudden, sharp bursts of activity, distinctive signatures that act as the brain's private language. These patterns are the first signs that your brain is actively working to shield your sleep, creating a protective barrier between your resting mind and the unpredictable world outside. These sudden, sharp bursts of brain activity are known to scientists as sleep spindles. If you were to look at a readout of your brain waves right now, you would see long, slow, rhythmic lines suddenly interrupted by a quick, tight scribble, a flicker of high-frequency energy that lasts for only a second or two before the brain returns to its deep, steady pace. These spindles are one of the most fascinating features of stage 2 sleep, acting as a sort of do not disturb sign hung on the door of your consciousness. They originate in the thalamus, that same gatekeeper we spoke of earlier, and they serve a vital purpose in keeping you submerged in your rest. Think of a sleep spindle as a protective shield. Throughout the night, the world around you isn't perfectly silent. Perhaps a floorboard creaks as the house settles, or a car drives past on a distant street, or a branch taps gently against a window pane. Ordinarily, These sounds might be enough to alert your brain and pull you back into wakefulness. But when a sleep spindle occurs, it effectively blocks these external interruptions from reaching the higher processing centers of your mind. It is your brain's way of saying that everything is fine, that there is no need to wake up, and that the internal work of rest is far more important than the noises of the outside world. Interestingly, research has shown that some people naturally produce more sleep spindles than others. These individuals are what we often call heavy sleepers. Because their brains are more active in generating these protective bursts, they can sleep through thunderstorms, sirens, or the bustle of a household without ever stirring. It is a biological gift of tranquility, a high threshold defense system that ensures their journey through the night remains undisturbed. But sleep spindles are more than just a shield. They are also a sign of a busy, healthy mind. These bursts are closely linked to the way we process and integrate new information. During the day, we are bombarded with facts, experiences, and sensory data. During stage 2 sleep, these spindles help the brain weave that new information into the existing tapestry of our long-term memory. They are like tiny needles, stitching the day's lessons into the fabric of our knowledge. This is why a good night's rest is so essential after learning a new skill or studying for an exam. Your sleep spindles are literally working to make that information a permanent part of who you are. As you lie there, drifting deeper into this secure state, these spindles continue their quiet work, flickering on and off like distant stars in a night sky. They ensure that your transition into the even deeper phases of sleep remains smooth and protected. But as remarkable as these spindles are, they are not the only unique signature of this stage. Appearing alongside them is another phenomenon, a much larger, more solitary wave that acts as the brain's internal monitor, standing guard over your peace. This silent sentinel is known as the K complex, and it plays a vital role in keeping your mind steady as the night grows longer. The K complex is a fascinating and powerful guardian of your rest. If you were to look at a recording of your brain's electrical activity during this stage of sleep, most of the waves would appear as small, gentle squiggles. But every so often, a K complex appears, standing out with dramatic clarity. It is a singular, towering wave, a sharp rise followed by a deep, slow fall. In fact, these are the largest electrical events that ever occur in a healthy human brain. They are the giants of the EEG, and they serve a purpose that is as protective as it is profound. Think of the K complex as your brain's internal monitor, a silent sentinel that remains vigilant even as your conscious mind drifts away. While the sleep spindles act as a continuous shield, the K complex is more like a reactive pulse. It is often triggered by things in your environment, a sudden noise, a change in room temperature, or even a light touch on your arm. When your brain perceives one of these external stimuli, it generates a K complex to evaluate the situation. It is as if the brain is asking a silent question. Is this important? Do we need to wake up? Most of the time, the answer is no. And so, the K complex performs its most vital trick. It suppresses cortical arousal. By creating this massive, slow wave of electricity, the brain effectively cancels out the alert signal that the noise or touch might have sent. It pushes back against the urge to wake up, ensuring that the disturbance doesn't reach your higher consciousness. It is a biological hush, a way for your mind to acknowledge the outside world and then immediately decide to ignore it for the sake of your rest. But even in the total silence of a dark room, K-complexes will still appear roughly every 2 minutes. This suggests they are doing more than just monitoring noise. Researchers believe they are also deeply involved in the process of memory consolidation, working alongside sleep spindles to help sort through the thousands of pieces of information you gathered throughout the day. They help the brain decide what is worth keeping and what can be safely discarded, all while keeping your nervous system in a state of tranquil stability. As you lie here now, perfectly still and safe, you might take a moment to imagine these K-complexes as gentle ripples moving across the surface of a vast, calm lake. The water is dark and peaceful, and every so often, a single, slow wave moves from one shore to the other, smoothing out any tiny disturbances and leaving the surface even more glass-like than before. Each wave is a signal of safety, a rhythmic reminder that you are protected and that your mind is doing exactly what it needs to do. With these internal monitors standing guard, your brain is now fully prepared to descend even further into the night. But as your mind moves toward deeper levels of consciousness, your physical body is undergoing its own remarkable transformation. One of the most important changes is happening deep within your core, where your internal thermostat is beginning to shift. This cooling of the body is a vital signal, a biological bridge that leads from the light sleep of the evening into the profound restorative depths that await you. As you settle deeper into your bed, you might notice a subtle shift in how your body feels. This is the beginning of a process called thermoregulation, and it is one of the most essential biological cues for a restful night. Your body isn't just resting, it is actively cooling down. To successfully transition into the deepest stages of sleep, your core body temperature must drop by about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. This might not sound like much, but for a biological system that usually stays within a very narrow range, it is a significant and necessary change. It is, in many ways, the body's way of powering down its most energy-intensive systems. This cooling process is actually what helps trigger the brain's release of melatonin and the onset of sleepiness. It is why you might find yourself instinctively kicking a foot out from under the covers or searching for the cool side of the pillow. Your body is searching for ways to shed its internal heat. Interestingly, your hands and your feet act as the primary radiators for your entire system. They contain specialized vascular structures that allow blood to flow close to the surface of the skin, where the heat can escape into the air. When you feel your hands and feet getting warm as you drift off, it is actually a sign that your core is successfully cooling down by moving that heat to your extremities. This is also why scientists consistently find that a cool room, somewhere between 60 and 68 degrees, is the ideal environment for high-quality rest. In a room that is too warm, your body struggles to shed that core heat, which can keep your brain in a state of light, restless sleep. But when the air is cool, your body can easily reach its target temperature, signaling to the brain that it is safe to descend into the most restorative phases of the night. It is as if the drop in temperature acts as a key, unlocking the door to the deeper chambers of the mind. There is a beautiful irony in this. Even though our core needs to be cool, we often crave the weight and warmth of a blanket. This isn't just for comfort. It creates a stable microenvironment around our skin, protecting us from sudden drafts, while our internal systems do the heavy lifting of cooling the core. It is a delicate balance of external warmth and internal coolness that allows the nervous system to truly let go. The blanket provides a sense of security, a soft boundary between you and the world, while your inner self prepares for a deep journey. Take a moment now to notice the temperature of the air against your face. Feel the contrast between the warmth of your breath and the coolness of the room. Perhaps you can feel the soothing sensation of a cool pillowcase against your skin. This simple physical comfort is a sign that your body is in perfect harmony with its environment, shedding the heat of the day and preparing for the profound stillness that is about to follow. As your temperature stabilizes at this lower, more peaceful level, your brain waves begin to change once again. The light, rhythmic patterns of stage 2 are starting to give way to something much deeper and more powerful. You are leaving the shallows behind and entering the realm of slow wave sleep, the most physically restorative part of the entire night, where the world of the conscious mind finally fades into a deep rhythmic hum. We have now arrived at the threshold of stage 3 in REM, often simply called slow wave sleep. This is the deepest, most profound state of rest a human can experience during a normal night. If the previous stages were a quiet hallway leading away from the busy world, stage 3 is the grand, silent chamber at the heart of the house. It is here that the boundary between you and the external environment becomes almost absolute. Your brain is no longer merely filtering out noise. It has moved into a state of deep, rhythmic synchronization that prioritizes internal maintenance above all else. In this phase, the brain's electrical activity undergoes a magnificent transformation. The quick, jagged waves of wakefulness and the steady, light rhythms of stage 2 are replaced by something much slower and more powerful: delta waves. These are the largest and slowest brain waves we produce, and they represent a state of total neural harmony. When you are in the depths of stage 3, your brain is pulsing with a slow, steady energy that signals a complete withdrawal from the conscious world. It is as if the brain has stopped trying to process information and has instead decided to sing a single, low resonating note. Because the brain is so deeply occupied with these slow waves, it is incredibly difficult to wake someone from this stage. You may have experienced this yourself, that heavy, confusing sensation of being pulled from a deep slumber by a sudden noise or an alarm. Scientists call this sleep inertia. It is a period of intense grogginess where the brain feels as though it is moving through thick honey, struggling to reconnect with reality. This happens because the brain was in the middle of a vital, deep-seated process, and it takes several minutes, or sometimes even longer, for the prefrontal cortex to fully reboot and return to its waking state. If you have ever felt sleep drunk after a short nap that went too long, you were likely being pulled out of this deep, slow wave state. But there is a profound purpose to this deep immersion. Stage 3 is the primary healing stage for the physical body. While your mind is quiet, your biology is incredibly active in a way that is entirely different from your waking life. This is the time when the body focuses its energy on repair and growth. Blood flow is diverted away from the brain and toward the muscles, providing them with the oxygen and nutrients needed for recovery. It is a time of cellular renewal, where the wear and tear of the day is meticulously mended. It is the sanctuary where the immune system is bolstered and the body's energy stores are replenished. Without enough of this slow wave sleep, we wake up feeling physically unrefreshed and heavy, no matter how many hours we may have spent in bed. As you lie there now, imagine your body entering this state of profound repair. Every cell is being tended to, every muscle is relaxing into a state of total stillness, and your brain is beginning to pulse with those deep rhythmic waves. These waves are the foundation of your physical well-being, the slow drumbeat of a system that is perfectly at peace and safely tucked away from the demands of the world. To truly appreciate the power of this stage, we must look closer at the nature of these delta waves, the slowest and most majestic rhythms of the human mind. Delta waves are the deepest rhythms our brains are capable of producing. They are the signature of the most profound levels of sleep, representing a state where we are most distant from the waking world. If you were to look at a monitor tracking your brain activity during this time, you would see a dramatic change from the jagged, rapid lines of your waking thoughts. Instead, the screen would show long, slow, undulating curves, waves that look like the gentle rolling hills of a distant landscape or the deep, heavy swells of a calm ocean at midnight. These are what scientists call high-amplitude, low-frequency waves. They are the physical manifestation of your brain slowing down to its most basic rhythmic state. In the language of neurology, delta waves typically have a frequency of between 0.5 and 4 hertz. To understand how slow that truly is, consider that when you're awake and solving a problem or feeling stressed, your brain waves might be firing 30 or 40 times every second. But here, in the sanctuary of deep sleep, the pulse happens only a few times a second, like a deep resonant drum being struck at long, steady intervals. These are the slowest waves ever recorded in the healthy human brain, and they signal a state of total detachment from the conscious world. When delta waves dominate your neural activity, the you that remembers your name, your to-do list, and your anxieties is effectively offline. You are submerged in a primordial quiet, a place that is unreachable by the lights and noises of the external environment. This is why it is so difficult for someone to wake you when you are in this state. Your brain has essentially closed the curtains and turned off the lights to the outside world. Take a moment now to visualize your own thoughts slowing down to match this deep rhythmic pulse. Imagine each thought becoming heavier, softer, and less urgent. like a leaf slowly sinking through stockitum. As you breathe in and out, feel your mind sinking with a slow, steady rhythm that exists deep within your biology. It is a pace that is ancient and restorative, a frequency that allows every part of your consciousness to simply let go. It is fascinating to realize that while the brain is drifting in these slow, majestic cycles, the body is using this time for its most intense labor. The appearance of delta waves is like a silent signal, a green light for the body's internal repair crews to begin their shift. With the brain's demands for energy at their lowest point of the entire night, the body can finally redirect its vast resources to the places that need them most. Even as you lie there in a state of total mental stillness, a complex and beautiful process of physical rebuilding is just beginning to unfold within your muscles, your tissues, and your very cells. While your mind is anchored in those deep rhythmic delta waves, your body is entering its most productive period of the entire 24-hour cycle. It is as if the power grid of a great city has been rerouted. During the day, your brain is the primary consumer of energy and oxygen, demanding a constant heavy flow of resources to process thoughts, sights, and sounds. But in the quiet sanctuary of deep sleep, the brain's metabolic demand drops to its lowest point. This shift allows a greater volume of blood to be diverted away from the cranium and down into the rest of the body, flooding the large muscle groups and the internal organs with the nourishment they need to recover. With this increased supply of oxygen and nutrients, the body begins the silent, invisible work of cellular repair. It is during these hours of profound stillness that your tissues are grown and mended. If you have been active during the day, this is when the microscopic tears in your muscles are woven back together, often becoming stronger than they were before. It is a time of intense protein synthesis and cellular division, a literal renewal of your physical form. You can imagine it as a dedicated crew of artisans moving through a quiet gallery, polishing the stone, tightening the frames, and ensuring everything is pristine for the morning light. But the repair work goes much deeper than just muscles and skin. Your immune system is also at its most vigilant during this phase of the night. While you rest, your body releases specialized proteins called cytokines. Some of these cytokines are essential for helping the immune system respond to threats, while others are specifically designed to target and reduce inflammation throughout your system. This is why a single night of deep restorative sleep can make such a profound difference in how your body feels. Your immune system is performing a comprehensive diagnostic check, patrolling your systems and fortifying your defenses while you are unaware. It is a beautiful realization to hold as you drift further into comfort. As you lie there, completely motionless and peacefully detached from the world, you are literally being rebuilt. Every cell in your body is being tended to by an internal intelligence that knows exactly where the wear and tear of the day has left its mark. You are not just resting. You are being restored to your best possible self, one molecule at a time. By the time the sun rises, you will be physically different, more resilient, and more whole than you were when you first laid your head upon the pillow. Yet, this physical restoration is only one part of the night's incredible labor. While the body is busy mending tissues and soothing inflammation, the brain is preparing for its own unique and vital form of maintenance. For a long time, scientists were puzzled by how the brain, an organ that works so incredibly hard all day, managed to stay healthy despite not having a traditional lymphatic system like the rest of the body to carry away its waste. The answer turned out to be one of the most fascinating and elegant discoveries in modern sleep science: a specialized midnight wash that only occurs when you are at your deepest level of rest. This internal cleaning service is known as the glymphatic system. For decades, it was a mystery to science how the brain, an organ so dense and incredibly active, could effectively dispose of its own metabolic waste. Unlike the rest of your body, which uses the lymphatic system to carry away cellular debris, the brain appeared to have no such plumbing. It wasn't until around 2012 that researchers discovered this elegant, hidden process that activates almost exclusively while we are in the depths of slow-wave sleep. It is a specialized midnight wash, a quiet plumbing system that only opens its valves when the conscious mind has stepped away. Imagine, if you will, the cells of your brain as a bustling, crowded city. During the day, while you are thinking, learning, and reacting, these cells are packed tightly together, working at maximum capacity to process the world around you. But as you descend into the deepest stages of sleep, something truly remarkable happens. Your brain cells actually begin to shrink. They contract by as much as 60%, pulling back from one another and creating wider, open pathways between them that simply did not exist during the day. This shrinkage is a deliberate and essential transformation, turning a dense thicket into a series of open channels. With this extra space now available, the brain's specialized fluid, the cerebrospinal fluid, is able to rush in with newfound freedom. It behaves like a gentle, rhythmic tide, flowing through these newly opened corridors between your neurons. As it moves, it washes away the metabolic trash that has accumulated during your waking hours. One of the primary substances it targets is a protein called beta amyloid. In the light of day, this protein is a natural byproduct of your brain's energy use. But if it is allowed to pile up, it can begin to interfere with the way your neurons communicate. During the night, however, the glymphatic system ensures that these proteins are swept away and filtered out, leaving your neural pathways clear and refreshed. When we are deprived of this deep sleep, the trash isn't fully collected. It lingers, and we feel that the next morning as a sense of mental fogginess or heaviness, as if the previous day's thoughts are still cluttering the hallways of the mind. But tonight, as you lie here in this state of profound relaxation, that is not something you need to worry about. Your brain is currently undergoing its most thorough and restorative cleaning. You can visualize this process as a cool, clear mountain stream flowing through a quiet forest, picking up every fallen leaf and stray branch, carrying them away until only the pristine landscape remains. Your brain is becoming clean and clear, molecule by molecule. The weight of the day's mental effort is being dissolved by this internal stream, ensuring that when you eventually wake, your mind will feel as light as the morning air. It is a beautiful, silent labor occurring in the dark to prepare you for the light. And as this fluid continues its quiet work, Another vital process is unfolding in the background. While the glymphatic system washes the brain, the endocrine system is preparing to release a powerful surge of chemical messengers. These hormones are the final piece of the restorative puzzle, orchestrating a symphony of growth and vitality that reaches into every corner of your being, guided by the deep rhythms of the night. As the quiet tide of the glymphatic system continues its rhythmic work, your body begins to release a powerful chemical often referred to by scientists as the fountain of youth. This is the human growth hormone, a master architect that governs the repair and restoration of nearly every tissue in your physical form. While you are drifting in the deepest reaches of sleep, your pituitary gland, a tiny pea-sized organ nestled safely at the base of your brain, reaches its peak of activity. It has been waiting for this moment of profound stillness to begin its most important task. In the bustling activity of the day, growth hormone is present only in small, quiet amounts. But as you enter the heavy, slow-wave cycles of deep sleep, the pituitary gland releases a sudden and magnificent surge. In fact, for most adults, the vast majority of their daily growth hormone, as much as 75%, is secreted during these dark, peaceful hours. It is as if your body knows that the work of rebuilding can only truly begin when the rest of the world has been shut out and the conscious mind has finally stepped aside. This hormone travels through your bloodstream like a silent messenger, visiting every corner of your body to initiate a process of cellular regeneration. It seeks out the micro tears in your muscles from the day's movements and begins to knit them back together, making them stronger than they were before. It moves to your bones, encouraging the mineral density that keeps your frame resilient. It even reaches the very surface of your being, stimulating the production of collagen and the repair of skin cells. This is the physiological reality behind the old idea of beauty sleep. It is not merely a poetic phrase. It is a description of a nightly biological miracle where your skin, your hair, and your vital organs are literally being refreshed and renewed at a molecular level. For children and adolescents, this process is even more dramatic. It is during these deep, quiet hours that they are quite literally growing taller. The growth plates in their bones respond to the pulse of this hormone, lengthening the body in the stillness of the night. It is a reminder of how much work is being done in the absence of effort, a testament to the wisdom of a body that knows exactly how to heal itself when given the gift of rest. As you lie here, you can take comfort in the knowledge that you are currently undergoing the ultimate health treatment. Every minute you spend in this deep state is an investment in your longevity and your vitality. Your body is not simply off, it is a workshop of life, meticulously polishing and repairing every part of itself so that you can meet the coming day with a sense of renewed strength. You are being rebuilt layer by layer in a process that is as ancient as life itself. And as this chemical symphony of growth and repair continues to play out in the background, your body begins to find an even deeper level of harmony. The focus starts to shift from the microscopic work of the cells to the grand rhythmic systems that sustain you. Your heart and your lungs, the tireless engines of your existence, are preparing to enter their own state of most profound calm, slowing their pace to match the tranquil silence of the room around you. In this profound stillness of deep sleep, your body enters a state of autonomic calm. It is a moment where the two most vital rhythms of your life, your heartbeat and your breath, find a perfect, quiet synchronization. Throughout the day, these systems are reactive. Your heart speeds up when you move or feel a surge of excitement, and your breath follows suit. But now, in the sanctuary of the night, they are free from the demands of the external world. They begin a slow, rhythmic dance that is the very definition of peace. As you descend into the deepest levels of rest, your heart rate begins to drop to its lowest daily levels. For a healthy adult, the heart may slow to between 40 and 60 beats per minute. This is not a sign of weakness, but of incredible efficiency. Without the need to power your muscles for movement or your brain for complex decision-making, the heart can finally take its own version of a rest. Each beat becomes deliberate, steady, and strong, pumping blood through a relaxed network of vessels with a gentle, unhurried grace. Simultaneously, your blood pressure undergoes what scientists call the nocturnal dip. In a healthy sleep cycle, your blood pressure decreases by about 10 to 20%. Imagine the tension simply draining out of your arteries and veins, the pressure within the system softening as the entire cardiovascular network exhales. This dip is a vital protective mechanism. It gives your heart and blood vessels a much-needed break from the constant pressure of wakefulness, acting as a nightly reset that supports your long-term health. Your breathing, too, has transformed. It is no longer the varied, sometimes erratic breath of the daytime. It has become regular, rhythmic, and shallow. The diaphragm moves with a predictable, gentle cadence, drawing in just enough air to nourish the body while it remains in this low-energy state. There is a beautiful economy to it. No effort is wasted, no breath is rushed. Take a moment now to simply notice the rhythm of your own life. Feel your heart beating slowly in your chest, a quiet, faithful drum beneath the surface. Notice how it seems to pulse in harmony with the slow rise and fall of your breath. Everything is aligned. Everything is in balance. You are a closed system of tranquility, where every vital sign is a testament to the safety and comfort of this moment. This state of autonomic calm marks the completion of the body's sleep. Your tissues have been repaired, your energy has been conserved, and your physical form has been thoroughly restored. But as the body reaches this peak of stillness, the brain is preparing for a different kind of journey. We are moving away from the restorative depths of the body and toward the mind's sleep. The quietude of the physical self is about to become the stage for a vivid internal transformation as the brain prepares to wake up in a way that belongs only to the world of dreams. Just as your body reaches its most profound state of stillness, a remarkable and strange event begins to unfold within the architecture of your mind. Scientists call this the paradoxical shift, and for good reason. Up until this point, your brain and body have been moving in unison toward deeper and deeper levels of quiet. But how? After roughly 90 minutes of this slow, steady descent, the brain decides it is time to wake up. even while the body remains firmly anchored in the world of rest. It is as if a silent theater, dark and hushed for hours, suddenly has its stage lights flickered on behind a heavy velvet curtain. If we were to look at the electrical patterns of your brain right now on an EEG monitor, we would see something startling. The slow rolling mountains of the delta waves, those deep rhythmic pulses of physical restoration, suddenly vanish. In their place, a frantic, jagged landscape of high-frequency waves appears. To a scientist looking at the screen without seeing you lying in bed, it would look as though you had just opened your eyes and started solving a complex puzzle or engaging in a lively conversation. Your brain waves in this state are almost indistinguishable from those of a person who is wide awake and fully alert. This is the transition into REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. It is a moment of intense biological activity, yet you remain perfectly still, tucked under your blankets, oblivious to the storm of electricity surging through your cortex. This isn't just a change in electrical signals, it is a physical surge. The blood flow to your brain increases significantly during this shift. Oxygen consumption spikes as your neurons begin to fire with a renewed intensity. Your internal temperature, which had been cooling so peacefully during the deep sleep of the body, begins to fluctuate and rise slightly. It is a true paradox. Your heart rate and breathing, which were so regular and slow just moments ago, may now become slightly irregular or quicken for brief periods. Your brain is consuming as much energy, if not more, than it does during a typical afternoon of work. Yet, despite this internal fire, you are in many ways further from the waking world than at any other time. We are leaving the realm of physical repair and entering the sanctuary of the mind. While the earlier stages of sleep were focused on the hardware, the muscles, the tissues, and the immune system, this stage is dedicated to the software. It is about the memory, the emotions, and the imagination. This is the beginning of the dream world. You're now standing on the threshold of a different kind of reality. The logic of the waking day is beginning to dissolve, replaced by a fluid, vivid internal landscape where the rules of physics and time no longer apply. Your brain is no longer just resting. It is creating, processing, and exploring. As we move deeper into this paradoxical state, we begin to see the first physical signs of this mental awakening. The subtle, rhythmic movements behind your closed eyelids that signal the start of a story only you can see. Your mind is preparing to open its eyes to a world of its own making. As you settle deeper into this paradoxical state, you enter what scientists often call the theater of the mind. This is REM sleep, a stage so distinct and fascinating that its discovery in 1953 forever changed our understanding of the human night. Before that year, researchers largely believed the brain simply turned off or quieted down during a sleep, entering a long period of inactivity. But at the University of Chicago, researchers noticed something peculiar. Periods of the night where the eyes would suddenly flicker and dart back and forth with incredible speed behind closed lids, as if the sleeper were watching a fast-paced film. This rapid eye movement is more than just a physical quirk. It is the outward sign of an inward journey. While your body remains tucked in the stillness of your room, your mind has begun to paint on a vast, limitless canvas. Current scientific thought suggests that these eye movements actually correspond to the scanning of dream images. It is known as the scanning hypothesis. If you are dreaming of walking through a quiet ancient forest and looking up at the sunlight filtering through the tall canopy, your eyes may roll upward in their sockets. If you are watching a gentle stream flow from left to right across a dream horizon, your eyes follow that trajectory. Your brain is not just imagining a story, it is experiencing it with the same visual processing systems it uses during the day. In this state, the visual cortex is highly active, receiving signals as if you were truly seeing the world with open eyes. This is where the most vivid, narrative-driven dreams occur. Unlike the fragmented static thoughts of earlier sleep stages, which might feel like a single lingering image or a vague fleeting idea, REM dreams are cinematic. They have plots, characters, and intense sensory details. You might feel the cool spray of a waterfall that doesn't exist, or hear the complex melody of a song your brain is composing in real time. In this theater, you are the director, the lead actor, and the sole audience member all at once. It is the most private and creative space a human being can inhabit. Take a moment now to simply notice the quiet behind your own eyelids. Even as you listen to my voice, imagine your eyes resting softly in their sockets, heavy and relaxed. If they were to begin that gentle, rhythmic darting, it would be because you are starting to observe a peaceful landscape in your mind's eye. Perhaps a slow-moving river reflecting the stars, or the swaying of tall golden grass in a gentle breeze. There is a profound comfort in knowing that while you rest, your mind is keeping itself entertained, weaving together the scattered threads of your life into these nighttime tapestries. Yet, as vibrant and active as this mental world becomes, there is a strange and vital mystery to this stage of sleep. If your brain is truly convinced that you are running through a field, reaching for an object, or climbing a mountain, and your eyes are tracking every movement with such precision, why does your physical body stay so perfectly still? Why don't you find yourself walking across the room or waving your arms in response to the dream? This stillness is not accidental. It is one of the most sophisticated safety features of the human nervous system. It is a biological lock, a quiet guardian that ensures your physical body remains safe and sound in bed, while your mind is granted the freedom to wander the furthest reaches of your imagination. As you drift deeper into this cinematic world of REM, a remarkable and protective physiological event takes place, a state known as muscle atonia. Think of it as a gentle internal lock. While your mind is busy navigating the vibrant, often unpredictable landscapes of your dreams, your body remains in a state of profound safe stillness. This is not a failure of the system, but a masterpiece of biological design. It is the reason why, no matter how much you might move in the theater of your mind, your physical form remains peacefully anchored to your bed. This process is governed by the brainstem, an ancient and wise part of your neural architecture. During REM sleep, specific neurons in the brainstem send out inhibitory signals that travel down the spinal cord. These signals act like a do not disturb message for your voluntary muscles. They effectively switch off the communication between your brain's motor commands and the muscles in your arms, legs, and torso. In this state, your muscles lose their tension entirely, becoming heavy and completely relaxed. It is perhaps the most total form of relaxation a human being can experience, a moment where the weight of the world is truly lifted from your shoulders because your body has simply let go of its ability to carry it. Interestingly, this safe paralysis is selective. While your limbs are stilled to keep you from acting out your dreams, your most vital systems remain fully operational. Your diaphragm continues its steady, rhythmic rise and fall, ensuring that each breath is deep, slow, and restorative. Your heart continues its calm pulse, and as we have already seen, the muscles controlling your eyes remain active, allowing you to scan the horizons of your inner world. This careful balancing act ensures that you are kept safe and stationary while your vital life forces continue their quiet work. From an evolutionary perspective, muscle atonia is a guardian. For our ancestors, who may have slept in environments where a sudden movement could lead to a fall or alert a predator, this stillness was a survival mechanism. Today, it serves the same purpose in a modern context, ensuring that when you dream of running through a meadow or reaching for something just out of grasp, you don't accidentally strike a bedside table or wander away from the safety of your pillows. You are held in a cocoon of immobility, a state of deep physical surrender that allows the brain to focus its immense energy inward. Take a slow, deep breath now and feel the profound comfort in this stillness. Imagine the tension draining out of your fingertips and your toes as if you are being cradled by the very air around you. There is nothing you need to do, no movement you need to make. You are perfectly safe, perfectly still, and perfectly supported. This physical quietude is the necessary foundation for the next phase of the night's journey. For while your body is at its most inactive, your mind is about to begin its most important work, a process of emotional healing and mental sorting that can only happen when the outside world is completely shut away. The theater is still open, but the play is about to take a turn toward the heart, moving from the visual spectacle of dreams into the deep, quiet work of the soul. Deep within the quiet architecture of your resting brain, an ancient and powerful structure is waking up to its nightly duties. This is the amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons nestled deep in the temporal lobe, and it serves as your mind's emotional compass. While the rest of your body remains in that state of peaceful, protective stillness we just explored, the amygdala becomes intensely active during REM sleep. In fact, researchers have found that it can be up to 30% more active than it is during your waking hours. This might seem strange for a time of rest, but this surge of activity is the foundation of what scientists often call overnight therapy. It is the process by which your mind heals itself from the stresses and emotional wounds of the day. During this unique stage of the night, your brain performs a truly miraculous chemical feat. It is the only time in your entire life, day or night, when your brain is completely devoid of a key stress-triggering molecule called noradrenaline. You may know its cousin, adrenaline, which creates the fight or flight response. Noradrenaline is what makes your heart race and your mind feel sharp and anxious when you are under pressure. By shutting off this chemical entirely. Your brain creates a perfectly safe, calm, and neutral environment. This allows the amygdala to revisit the memories of your day, the frustrations, the small embarrassments, or the lingering worries, without the painful, stinging charge that usually accompanies them. Think of an emotional memory like a rose. During the day, that rose has sharp, prickly thorns that can hurt when you touch it. As you sleep, your brain carefully and systematically strips away those thorns, leaving only the soft petals of the memory itself. You are able to process what happened, understand it, and integrate it into your life story. But the visceral, emotional pain is gently washed away. This is why a problem that felt insurmountable and heavy at 10 o'clock at night often feels manageable and distant by 7 o'clock the next morning. It is not just the passage of time that heals. It is the active chemical work of the amygdala in the absence of stress. Take a slow, deep breath and feel the comfort in knowing that your mind is looking out for you. As you drift deeper into this state, you can trust that any lingering tensions from your day are being handled, smoothed over, and resolved by this internal therapist. You are waking up tomorrow not just rested, but emotionally balanced and significantly lighter than when you laid your head on the pillow. The heavy weight of yesterday's stress is being left behind in the quiet of the dream world. But the night's work is not limited to the heart and its feelings. Once the emotional landscape has been smoothed over and the day's tensions have been neutralized, the brain turns its attention to the vast library of raw information you gathered throughout your waking hours. Like a diligent clerk in a quiet, moonlit archive, it begins the meticulous task of sorting through every fact, every new skill, and every stray observation you encountered. It is time for the mind to move from the world of feeling to the world of knowing, deciding what is worth keeping for a lifetime and what can be safely let go. Imagine, for a moment, that your mind is a grand moonlit library. During the day, you have been rushing through the aisles, piling books and loose papers onto the mahogany tables near the entrance. This entrance hall is your hippocampus, a small curved structure deep in the brain that acts as a temporary arrival lounge for everything you experience. It is efficient, but its space is limited. If it isn't cleared by the end of the day, it becomes cluttered and overwhelmed. As you lie here in the stillness of the night, the filing clerk of your brain begins its shift. With a steady, rhythmic grace, it starts to sort through that pile of papers. It picks up a conversation you had at lunch, a new word you read in a book, or the specific way the light hit the trees this afternoon. The clerk evaluates each one. Is this important? Will you need this tomorrow or 10 years from now? The memories deemed precious are carefully lifted and carried away from the temporary tables of the hippocampus to the vast permanent archives of the neocortex, the brain's outer layer. This process, known as memory consolidation, is the way your short-term experiences are transformed into long-term knowledge. It is a slow, methodical transfer, ensuring that the files are stored safely where they won't be lost. This incredible work extends beyond just facts and dates. It includes the physical movements of your body, often called muscle memory. If you spent time today practicing a new piece on the piano learning a dance step, or even just refining your typing speed, your brain is currently replaying those motor sequences in a high-speed loop. It is smoothing out the rough edges and strengthening the neural pathways. You might have noticed that a task which felt frustratingly difficult in the afternoon suddenly feels fluid and natural the next morning. This isn't magic. It is the result of your brain practicing for you while you rest. It is perfecting your skills in the quiet dark, making you more capable and more coordinated with every hour of sleep. But the clerk is also a master of decluttering. To make room for true wisdom, the brain must also decide what to delete. It identifies the noise of the day, the license plate of a car you passed, the mundane details of a routine walk, the color of a stranger's jacket, and gently lets them fade away. This selective forgetting is just as vital as remembering. It prevents your mind from becoming heavy with useless data, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. As you breathe in and out, feel a sense of quiet satisfaction. You are becoming wiser, more skilled, and more focused with every passing minute of this rest. You are not just passive, you are evolving. And as the filing clerk moves through the archives, sometimes the folders are left open. Different memories begin to touch one another, blending together in unexpected ways. The rigid rules of the waking world start to soften, and the archives begin to tell their own stories, stories that don't always follow the laws of gravity or time. This is where the orderly work of the library meets the strange flowing logic of the dream world. As the library of the mind begins to blend its stories, we enter the domain of the brain's greatest storyteller, the dream. While the filing clerk is busy organizing your memories, another part of your consciousness is weaving a rich sensory tapestry. This is the stage where the abstract meets the familiar, and the rules of the physical world are gently set aside. You might find yourself walking through a house you've never seen, yet you know exactly where every door leads. You might speak with an old friend who looks like a stranger, yet their voice is unmistakable. To the dreaming brain, these contradictions are not errors. They are the language of the night. Dreams feel profoundly real while we are in them, because the brain's visual and emotional centers are humming with activity, almost as if you were truly awake and experiencing the world. Your internal cinema is playing in high definition, utilizing the same neural pathways that process sight and sound during the day. However, this storytelling serves a deeper purpose than mere entertainment. Dreaming is an essential workshop for creative problem solving. While you are tucked away in the safety of your bed, your brain is busy making loose associations, connecting ideas that the logical, waking mind would never think to pair together. It is a form of cognitive alchemy, turning the lead of daily stress into the gold of new insights. Many of history's greatest scientific breakthroughs and artistic masterpieces were first glimpsed in this hazy, nocturnal theater. It is a common misconception that we only dream for a few fleeting moments before we wake. In reality, the average person spends about 2 hours every single night immersed in the dream world. We inhabit these stories in cycles, with each one becoming longer and more vivid as the night progresses. And even if you wake up with no memory of where you've been, the work has still been done. The emotional processing and the creative connections have been forged. Whether you carry the images back into the light or leave them behind in the quiet of the dark. The brain is remarkably efficient at clearing the slate for the morning, letting the specific details of the dream dissolve like mist so that you can focus on the reality of the coming day. For a moment, allow yourself to lean into this strange, fluid logic. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, quiet meadow where the grass is a soft shade of blue and the clouds move in time with the rhythm of your breath. There is no need to question why the sky is the color of sunset at noon or why the flowers hum a low, comforting tune as you pass. In this space, everything is exactly as it should be. Let your mind wander to a peaceful, nonsensically beautiful place where the impossible is simply a different kind of possible. You are safe here in the middle of a story that belongs only to you. You might wonder why, in this state, we never stop to ask how we can fly, or why we are suddenly back in a classroom from 20 years ago. The bizarre nature of these events never seems to alarm us while we are dreaming. This is because the part of our mind that usually stands guard, the inner critic that demands order and consistency, has stepped away from its post. The very center of our logic and planning has gone quiet, leaving the stage entirely to the imagination. This quiet observer is known to neuroscientists as the lateral prefrontal cortex. Located just behind your forehead, it is the seat of executive function, the part of the brain that manages complex planning, social behavior, and the strict laws of cause and effect. During your waking hours, this region is your constant companion, acting as a filter that tells you what is possible and what is not. It ensures that when you drop a glass, you expect it to fall, and when you see a stranger, you don't mistake them for your childhood pet. It is the internal judge that keeps your life orderly and grounded in reality. But as you sink deeper into the theater of REM sleep, this logical gatekeeper does something truly remarkable. It effectively goes offline. The deactivation of the lateral prefrontal cortex is one of the most distinctive signatures of the dreaming brain. It is the biological reason why the most absurd scenarios feel perfectly mundane while you are in the midst of them. In the waking world, if a cat began to explain the intricacies of the cosmos to you, your prefrontal cortex would immediately sound an alarm, signaling that something is deeply wrong. It would compare the event to everything you know about biology and physics and reject it as impossible. But in the fluid reality of a dream, you might simply nod in agreement, perhaps even asking the cat for more details. Because the part of your brain responsible for reality testing is dormant, you are granted a temporary reprieve from the burden of logic. This suspension of disbelief allows for a state of pure, uninhibited imagination. Without the prefrontal cortex to say, "This can't happen," or "This doesn't make sense," your mind is free to explore the impossible. You can soar over mountain ranges without the need for wings. You can walk through walls or travel through time. This is the ultimate freedom, a total liberation from the rules of physics, the constraints of social expectations, and the linear progression of time. In this space, The past, present, and future can all exist in the same moment, woven together by the threads of your deepest emotions and memories. Imagine the relief of letting go of that constant need to organize and categorize the world. For these few hours every night, you don't have to solve any problems or plan for the future. You are simply a witness to the unfolding story of your own subconscious. The lateral prefrontal cortex rests, recovering from the immense energy it consumes during the day, so that it can return to its post when the sun rises, sharp and ready to navigate the complexities of reality once again. This downtime is essential. It allows the brain to reset its analytical faculties, ensuring that you can think clearly and make sound decisions when you are awake. But this journey into the dream world is not a one-way trip. It is part of a grand rhythmic architecture that governs your entire night. Just as the tide pulls back from the shore only to return again, your brain moves through these stages in a predictable, elegant dance. This transition from the deep restorative quiet of slow-wave sleep to the vibrant, illogical heights of REM is just one movement in a much larger symphony. As you drift further into the night, your brain is preparing to repeat this entire process over and over in a series of cycles that ensure every part of your being is tended to before the morning light returns. Each cycle is a journey of its own, a measured step in the long, quiet walk toward the dawn. As you drift through these layers of consciousness, you aren't just moving in a straight line toward the morning. You are traveling in a circle, or perhaps a spiral, following a rhythm that scientists call the 90-minute cycle. This is the fundamental architecture of your rest, a repeating pattern that ensures every corner of your mind and body receives the attention it needs. Full cycle typically lasts about an hour and a half, though it can vary slightly from person to person. Within this window, your brain moves through a specific sequence: the light drifting of stage 1, the steady quiet of stage 2, the deep, heavy stillness of stage 3, and finally, the vibrant theater of REM. Over the course of a healthy night, you will complete this journey 4, 5, or even 6 times, like a ship making several passes through the same calm waters. However, no two cycles are exactly the same. Your brain is a master of prioritization, and it changes the recipe of these cycles as the night progresses. In the first half of your sleep, the cycles are heavy with stage 3, that deep, slow-wave sleep we explored earlier. During these early hours, your body is focused on physical restoration, cellular repair, and the clearing of metabolic waste. It is as if the brain knows it must finish the heavy construction work while you are at your most still. As the night moves past its midpoint and begins the slow turn toward morning, the architecture shifts. The periods of deep, slow-wave sleep become shorter, and the periods of REM sleep begin to stretch out. By the final cycles of the night, you may spend very little time in deep sleep at all, instead lingering for long stretches in the dream world. This shift is why your most vivid, complex, and memorable dreams usually happen in the early hours of the morning. If you have ever woken up feeling as though you've lived an entire lifetime in a dream, or if you find yourself lingering in a story that feels as long as a movie just before the sun rises, it is because your brain has dedicated those final cycles to your mind's emotional and creative processing. It is a beautiful, balanced system. The first half of the night heals the body, and the second half tends to the soul. You can rest easy knowing that even if your sleep is interrupted, your brain tries its best to fit these essential components into the time it is given, always striving to complete the cycle. Understanding this rhythm helps us appreciate the quiet intelligence of our own biology. You don't have to tell your brain when to shift from repair to reflection. It simply knows. It follows an internal clock that has been ticking since long before you were born. And as you rest here, following this 90-minute pulse, you are participating in something much larger than yourself. This rhythmic architecture is a masterpiece of biological engineering, but it is not a secret held only by humans. All across the globe, in every corner of the natural world, other beings are following their own versions of this quiet, nocturnal map, guided by the same ancient forces that govern your own rest. Each living thing, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, shares in this universal need to withdraw from the world and journey inward. As you drift through these cycles, you are following a path that was laid down millions of years ago. It is a humbling thought to realize that your sleep is not just a personal habit or a daily necessity, but a legacy you share with almost every living creature on this planet. From an evolutionary perspective, sleep is something of a paradox. When an animal sleeps, it is at its most vulnerable. It cannot hunt for food, it cannot seek out a mate, and it cannot stay vigilant against the dangers of the wild. For a long time, biologists wondered why such a risky state would ever have evolved. If sleep doesn't serve an absolutely vital, life-sustaining function, it would be the most expensive mistake evolution ever made. And yet, as we look across the vast tree of life, we find that sleep is everywhere. It is a biological imperative, as fundamental as the need for water or the air we breathe. Even the humblest of creatures participate in this quiet withdrawal. Consider the fruit fly, a tiny streak of life, with a brain no larger than a grain of salt. These flies have periods of deep, unmoving rest that look remarkably like our own sleep. If they are kept awake, they become forgetful and clumsy, and their little lives are cut short. Even more surprising is the jellyfish, a creature that has existed for hundreds of millions of years without a centralized brain. Even without a brain like ours, jellyfish enter a state of sleep where their rhythmic pulsing slows to a crawl, and they become less responsive to the water around them. This suggests that sleep likely evolved over 500 million years ago, long before the first creatures crawled out of the sea and onto the land. It is an ancient universal ritual of life, a deep-seated requirement for any nervous system that hopes to function. It is the time when the cost of being awake is finally paid, and the delicate machinery of life is tuned and calibrated. Every moment you spend awake, your neurons are firing, your senses are processing, and your cells are working. Sleep is the necessary pause that allows the system to reset. Knowing this can bring a deep sense of peace. As you lie here in the safety of your bed, you are not simply turning off. You are engaging in a process that has been perfected over 500 million years. You are part of a grand, quiet chorus of life that stretches back to the very dawn of complex existence. There is no need to rush, no need to worry about the time spent in this state of stillness. You are doing exactly what your biology requires. You are safe, you are supported, and you are following a rhythm that has guided countless generations of living things through the darkness and into the light of a new day. But while the need for sleep is universal, the way it is practiced in the animal kingdom is as varied and fascinating as the creatures themselves. Because life exists in so many different environments, under the sea, high in the air, or in the middle of a vast, open plain, nature has had to become incredibly creative. While we have the luxury of closing both eyes and letting our entire brain drift into the silence of the night, other animals have developed ways to sleep that seem almost impossible to us. They have found ways to rest, even when the world around them demands that they never truly stop moving. Imagine for a moment a world where you could never truly let go. For many creatures, the luxury of total unconsciousness is a risk they simply cannot afford. This has led to one of the most remarkable adaptations in the natural world: unihemispheric slow-wave sleep, or what we might call the half-awake brain. Consider the dolphin gliding through the dark, cool waters of the ocean. As a mammal, a dolphin must consciously decide to surface and breathe through its blowhole. It also lives in an environment where a moment of total unawareness could mean drifting too deep or being caught by a predator. To solve this, the dolphin's brain has developed a way to sleep in shifts. It shuts down one hemisphere, one half of its brain at a time. While the left side of the brain enters a deep restorative sleep, the right side remains fully awake and alert. It monitors the environment, coordinates swimming, and ensures the dolphin reaches the surface for air. During this time, the dolphin often keeps one eye open, the eye opposite the active hemisphere. If the right side of the brain is awake, the left eye is open, watching the blue-green shadows of the sea. After a couple of hours, the brain performs a seamless handoff. The side that was resting wakes up, and the side that was working finally gets its turn to drift into the quiet. This cycle continues throughout the night, ensuring that the dolphin is always rested, yet always present. It is a state of being both here and a delicate balance between the need for recovery and the necessity of survival. We see this same incredible feat in the sky. Migrating birds like the frigate bird can spend weeks or even months flying over the open ocean without ever landing. They have mastered the art of sleeping while soaring. By engaging in unihemispheric sleep, they can navigate the winds and maintain their position in a flock, while half of their mind is essentially dreaming. Sometimes they even take ultra-short bursts of full-brain sleep that last only a few seconds, micro-naps that keep them soaring across thousands of miles of empty sea. They are masters of the sky even in their slumber. As you lie here now, let yourself feel a sense of profound gratitude for your own biology. You do not have to keep one eye open. You do not have to manage your breathing or stay alert for shadows in the water. Your environment is safe, your room is quiet, and your bed is a sanctuary that allows you to let go completely. You are allowed to surrender both hemispheres of your brain to the darkness at the very same time. You can let the watchman of your mind step down from his post and walk away. There is a deep, heavy comfort in knowing that you are permitted to be totally, beautifully unconscious. This total surrender is what makes our sleep so restorative, so different from the survival-based rest of the animal kingdom. But even within the world of deep rest, there are states that look like sleep, but are actually something quite different. We often think of animals that disappear for the winter as being in a very long, very deep sleep. But as we look closer at the science of hibernation, we find that it is a world away from the rhythmic cycles of the night. It is a state of suspended animation that carries its own strange and surprising set of rules. When we think of a bear curled in a snowy den or a groundhog tucked away for the winter, we often imagine them in a deep, months-long slumber. It is a peaceful, cozy image, the ultimate nap, lasting until the first flowers of spring. But science tells us a much more complex and surprising story. Hibernation is not actually sleep. In many ways, it is the physiological opposite. While the sleep you're enjoying right now is a period of high brain activity and intense cellular restoration, hibernation is a state of profound energy conservation known as torpor. During true sleep, your brain is busy filing your memories and washing away metabolic waste. But in hibernation, the biological fires are turned down to the lowest possible setting. A hibernating animal's heart rate might drop from 200 beats per minute to just 5 or 10. Their body temperature can plummet to near freezing, and their breathing becomes so slow and shallow that it almost seems to disappear. It is a state of suspended animation designed solely to survive when food is scarce and the world is cold. The most startling discovery in this field of science is that hibernating animals are actually sleep-deprived. Because their brain activity is so suppressed during torpor, they cannot experience the restorative stages of NREM or IM sleep that we have been exploring tonight. The slow, rhythmic delta waves and the vivid theater of REM simply cannot happen at such low temperatures. The brain essentially goes on a forced power save mode where no maintenance can be performed. This leads to a strange and beautiful paradox. Every few weeks, a hibernating animal must use its precious, stored energy reserves to warm up its body. They do not wake up to eat, and they rarely even move from their curled position. They wake up specifically so they can enter a state of true sleep. They must bring their brain temperature back up to a normal level just to perform the essential maintenance that only genuine slumber can provide. They warm up so that they can finally rest their minds. Once the brain has been cleaned and the neural connections have been stabilized through real sleep, they slip back down into the cold, quiet depths of torpor once again. This highlights just how unique and indispensable sleep really is. It is so vital to the survival of the brain that even an animal trying to save every single calorie of energy must temporarily abandon its deep freeze just to catch a few hours of genuine rhythmic sleep. It reminds us that sleep isn't just a break from being awake. It is a biological requirement as fundamental as air. As you lie in your warm, comfortable bed, let yourself feel the luxury of this moment. You do not have to endure the cold of torpor. You do not have to wait for your brain to warm up to find relief. You are receiving right now the gift that even the most deep-sleeping creatures of the wild have to work hard to achieve. You are in the middle of a perfect restorative cycle, safe and transform while your brain performs its quiet miracles. But even the longest night eventually begins to tilt toward the morning. Just as the hibernator feels the subtle pull of the changing season, your own body has a built-in sense of the coming light. Even now, while the room is still dark and the world outside is draped in shadow, your internal systems are beginning a very subtle, very quiet preparation for the return of the sun. Deep within you, the master clock is already beginning to shift its rhythm, preparing to guide you gently back to the waking world. As the deep quiet of the night reaches its peak, a remarkable event begins to unfold within you. It is known as the dawn phenomenon. Long before the first sliver of light touches the horizon, and well before your alarm might sound, your body is already starting to wake up on your behalf. It is a transition so subtle and so gentle that you are likely entirely unaware of it. Yet, it is one of the most sophisticated examples of your biological clock's precision. Think of it as an internal sunrise, a slow brightening of your physiological landscape that ensures you don't simply crash into the waking world, but are instead carried into it on a rising tide of energy. Around 4 o'clock in the morning, while you are still tucked away in the final long stretches of REM sleep, your adrenal glands receive a quiet signal from the master clock in your brain. In response, they begin to slowly increase the production of cortisol. While we often hear of cortisol in relation to stress, in these early morning hours, it serves a beautiful and vital purpose as the alertness hormone. It begins to circulate through your system, acting as a soft chemical messenger that tells your organs the period of deep rest is nearing its conclusion. It is the body's way of ensuring that when you finally do open your eyes, your brain is already primed and ready to process the world. Simultaneously, the cooling process that helped you drift off hours ago begins its slow reversal. Your core body temperature, which has been resting at its lowest point, starts to climb by a fraction of a degree. This warming is like the steady hum of an engine being preheated before a journey. To support this rise in activity, your liver releases a small, carefully measured burst of glucose into your bloodstream. This is your body's own fuel, providing the initial spark of energy required for your muscles to regain their tone and for your mind to move from the abstract logic of dreams back into the structured reality of the day. There is something profoundly moving about realizing that your body is always looking out for you in this way. Even when your conscious mind is miles away, wandering through the theater of your imagination, your biological systems are working in perfect harmony to prepare for your return. You are being cared for by a system that has been refined over millions of years of evolution. A system that knows exactly when to let you sink into the depths of repair and exactly when to begin pulling you back toward the surface. As you lie here now, perhaps feeling that slight cozy warmth beginning to return to your limbs, know that you are in the safest of hands. This preparation is not an ending, but a continuation of the care your body has been providing all night long. The night is still yours to enjoy, a vast and quiet space where the final pieces of your recovery are falling into place. The world outside remains still, draped in the soft velvet of the pre-dawn hours, giving you these last precious moments of solitude and peace. We have traveled a long way tonight, from the first heavy eyelids of the evening through the microscopic cleaning of your brain cells and the vivid stories of your dreams. Every stage has served a purpose, and every minute has been a step toward a renewed version of yourself. As we move toward the final completion of this cycle, take a moment to appreciate the sheer beauty of the night, the way it shelters us, heals us, and prepares us for the light that is always inevitably on its way. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, we find ourselves at the quiet threshold of a completed cycle. Think of the incredible distance we have covered while you have been resting here, enveloped in the stillness of the night. It is a journey that began with a simple fading of the light and the gentle activation of your internal master clock. And it has led you through the deepest valleys of restorative sleep and the vivid heights of your imagination. The architecture of your night is now nearly finished. Throughout these hours, your brain has been a hive of silent, purposeful activity. We have seen how the pressure of adenosine, that chemical weight that built up with every hour you were awake, has been steadily cleared away, leaving your mind light and refreshed. The glymphatic system has completed its midnight wash, sweeping through the narrow channels between your neurons to rinse away the metabolic debris of the day, leaving your cognitive landscape clean and clear. While you were drifting, your body was busy with its own essential repairs. Your immune system has been bolstered, your tissues have been mended by the surge of growth hormones, and your heart has enjoyed its longest period of rhythmic, peaceful work. In the theater of your mind, the hippocampus has finished its task as the ultimate filing clerk, carefully moving the day's most important experiences into the long-term storage of your cortex. The emotional sting of difficult moments has been softened by the therapeutic power of REM sleep, allowing you to process the world without the burden of stress. In a very real biological sense, you are a different person than the one who first laid down to rest. Your brain is structurally renewed, your cells are rejuvenated, and your spirit has been balanced. You have navigated the complex stages of the night, from the first light drifts of stage 1 to the deep pulsing delta waves of stage 3, and the creative freedom of your dreams, and you have emerged on the other side, ready for whatever the new day might bring. But for now, there is still only this moment. There is no need to think of the morning or the tasks that lie ahead. The world remains quiet, and your work of restoration is complete. You are existing in a space of pure, unburdened peace. Take one last, slow, deep breath with me now. Feel the cool air enter your nose, filling your chest and belly with a sense of calm. Hold it for just a brief, comfortable second, and then let it go in a long, soft sigh. As the breath leaves your body, feel the final remnants of tension melt away into the mattress. Your mind is quiet. Your body is heavy and relaxed. You are supported, you are safe, and you are deeply, truly rested. The cycle is whole. The night has done its work. As you continue to drift in this beautiful, lingering stillness, carry with you the knowledge that you have given yourself the greatest gift a living being can receive, the gift of deep, healing sleep. Rest now in the sanctuary of your own mind. Let the shadows be kind and the silence be a comfort. You have traveled far, and you have arrived exactly where you need to be. Sleep well, sleep deeply, and may your dreams be filled with nothing but peace. Good night.